Hello, everybody out there in Dream 10X. It's your boy JC with Dream 10X, and I'm here with Dr. Caple. How you doing?
Good, how you doing?
And we're here in the Dream 10X studio, which is, if you're just listening on Apple iTunes or Android or Alexa, we're just here in our kitchen. We're very low budget, and oftentimes the dog will walk in, the cat will walk across the table, whatever. We're low budget, we're here, we're doing our thing, and we're here to share with you what we're learning about how to change our lives and how to get out of the rut that you might be in, how to escape mediocrity, how to be great, how to be excellent at something. And today, this is episode 44 of our podcast, and we are going to talk about the 3 principles of explosive personal growth. And Dr. Caple is going to be telling us what she knows about those 3 principles.
Yes, how to be great like a Great Dane.
Well, hopefully greater than that.
Aww, she is goofy. So, James, you know what I did recently?
I give up.
I started playing D&D.
I know that, yes.
Dungeons and Dragons. And so I have the coolest friends, just so you know, and they are all like ridiculously smart. I'm not dumb, and I'm the dumbest one in this crowd. They're witty, they're clever, they're just so much fun, and I'm so happy to be part of this like goofy clan.
I'm not part of it.
Oh yeah, you are.
You're too smart for me.
So I'm like the orc of this clan.
Are you really an orc?
No, not in the game, but just in general, because orcs are big and goofy. Like you, like my Great Dane. Okay. And we all haven't played D&D in like over 30 years. And so one of our friends played with his kids, so he's more attuned and more up to date. And so he said, hey, why don't we start a game? And a bunch of us said, okay, let's do it. We haven't played in a billion years, don't remember anything, and one of them hadn't played ever, so it's just a whole new learning experience. And you have to do all these things. There's a book, a whole player book that you have to read through, and there's like 20 different races you have to choose, from orc to human to tiefling, and then a class, and a class is like your job, so you can be a bard or a paladin or a druid or like me, a barbarian. And then you have to choose your background, so you're like a thief or a hermit or a wildling, like I am. I forget what it's called in the book, but like you're like a wildling, and or an orphan, and all of that builds this character and defines your strengths, your mental models, what you can and can't do, how you operate in this universe, kind of like our regular lives as humans.
What's the point of that?
What do you mean, what's the point of that?
Like, why do you build a character like that and come up with this history and all that? What?
Yeah, for that exact purpose. So you have strengths and you have weaknesses, and it's how you fit in the group.
But in the context of playing a game, why would you have weaknesses? Why wouldn't you build like a character that's infinitely powerful in order to win?
Well, I mean, what's the point then? If you're going to defeat all the... Right. Well, part of it too is like a leadership journey and a team building journey. Like if we did this for leadership development, like they did for a while in World of Warcraft, I think it would change the face of leadership development, because it does teach strategy. It teaches vision. It teaches thinking on your feet. It teaches unexpected. So you come into to deal with the unexpected, uncertainty. So you have let's say you come up to a road and the dungeon master says you have 2 options. You can go left or right. What do? Who's your strongest character? Who has the ability to have clairvoyance, where they can see in the future? Or if nobody has that, how do you leverage the strengths you do have in order to go forth? Okay, so you choose to go to the right. Cool. You encounter an obstacle. What do? Or you encounter a hole. You want to jump over the hole. So you have to roll to see what your number is, to see if you make it over the hole or fall in. So it's all right, you fall in, and then what do? So it's like dealing with that uncertainty and having to make decisions. So from a leadership development perspective, gaming is the way to go. So for us, it's fascinating, because with all these rules, we're taking in all this knowledge, and we're seeking guidance from our DM, because we have no idea what we're doing. And it's a full immersion experience. So it was really fun. And again, a lot like real life, it's challenging your mental models because you have to become this character and make decisions that this character would make in this immersion world. And the most important thing is we were just having a good time. So you heard the first night.
Yeah.
But the dungeon master says, "Okay, go," and we're all like looking at each other like, "Okay, now what?" And he's like, "No, you're in character now. Go." And so one of us started. I think our druid started, and then we just all picked it up. We just all picked it up and started getting in character, and again having fun. And now we're going to be starting our third game soon. So yeah, it's a good time.
Yes.
So when you think about learning and redefining yourself, so there's 3 principles for explosive personal growth. And one is redefine yourself. And so in the terms of D&D, like really thinking who that really cool, awesome character that you were going to be. So if you're a bit clumsy like me in real life, so an orc in real life, who do I want to be in this world? That's a little bit different that I can bring into.
So did your character that you define, was that a make-believe improvement of yourself in this virtual world?
It was, because I am
in what respect?
Yeah, so I'm a Tiefling Barbarian. So I am a full-on warrior woman. Well, kind of a devil warrior woman because I have horns and a tail, which is very cool.
Why that? Why a devil? Why is that so to improve it?
The way that they describe the character.
Because you're so sweet and docile, usually? Is that why?
Yes,
You're trying to be
I'm a delicate flower. I liked that it was, if I could be like my best version of myself in this world, it would be a very strong warrior woman who could kick ass at any point. And she's chaotic neutral, so she really doesn't give a shit about anybody or anything. She can just go. Versus me, where I really do care. So I really love my friends and my family and my people. So that's not my best self, but that's a different way to being. So exploring that and what that's like is kind of fun to challenge my own mental model. So
okay,
yeah. So it's like coming up with this really interesting character is fun. And so back in the day I used to sing opera and love to be on stage because I love getting in these different characters and exploring that and what it's like to be in that world. So it's kind of the same thing, just with my friends, where we're not in front of an audience. So yeah, it's good.
Cool.
So so when you think about redefining yourself, like what does that really look like for you? We do a visualization exercise, which I will actually let's do it, and then we'll also pop it. We can put it on our site. You can do it yourself. Okay, so
typically though, when you're talking in a professional environment about redefining yourself, you're not talking about Dungeons and Dragons characters, right? You're talking about
who you are.
Well, you're redefining yourself. So do you like have people write out a persona of what they want to become?
Well,
kind of like are you still getting there? Am I getting ahead of you?
Yeah, but that's fine.
Sorry.
That's totally fine. I do. We do have them write out like who their best selves are. So do a visualization exercise with me now because I'm curious. Okay. I'm super curious. All right, so go ahead and get comfy a little bit. Put your shoulders back, relax. Take a deep breath. Think about somebody you admire. It can be somebody you know, somebody you don't know. It could be a character in a book, a character in a movie, from a comic strip or a comic book. Allow that person to come to mind. Picture them standing in front of you. What about them makes them amazing? What do they say or do that's really powerful for you? How do they make you feel when you interact with them or when you see them or when you read their character? Now imagine yourself with this quality. What does that look like for you? How do you feel? How do you impact others around you? All right, when you're ready, come back. Not that you went anywhere.
That was really interesting. You do start like, yeah.
Yeah. So
you start thinking about, oh wow, what does that feel like?
Yeah. So tell me, like, what was one thing that, one observation you had?
I was like trying to decide on a couple of people I'm reading about.
Yeah.
And trying to think, well, who would have the greatest impact on me? And so, flip a coin. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And what about these people, and you can combine them, what about that made them impactful for you?
So I'll probably lean towards a guy I'm reading about, Sam Zell right now, who is a very wealthy and successful investor. Mm-hmm. Started out with real estate investing, then got into markets, and I'm amazed at how, even before he graduated from college, he was already very, very wealthy because he started managing apartments for students for other companies while he was still in college. Mm-hmm. And so even before he graduates college, the degree was basically meaningless. He was already wealthy. Yeah. He was just doing his educational check marks that his parents wanted him to do. Mm-hmm.
So what's one behavior that he did that really came up for you? I'm always interested in how people, what is that catalyst that pushes people to the next level of living, financial living. I mean, life is based on money, in my opinion, and it's that, how do you get to that next financial level of living that you can really be your authentic self in life. And so I think that catalyst for him was when he started managing apartments. And we'll talk more about Sam Zell in another episode of Dream 10X, but this guy just popped in my head while we were doing your thing, so I'll just mention him. But that catalyst for him was starting to manage apartments, and that got him into real estate. And from there, he just sprungboard into, commercial properties. But what behavior did he do?
Well, what behavior?
What behavior? What led him to do that? What was something that he inherently in him, part of his character and way of being, led him to that?
What behavior? He just had a knack for finding out how to get people to pay him money to do things.
Okay.
So before that, he was selling magazines.
So salesman.
Salesman, yeah. I guess, yeah, you're right. Maybe it's sales. It all goes back to sales.
Yeah.
Always be selling. It's all about the sales. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
so that's just, how do you, what are you comfortable selling?
Yeah.
What are you the most comfortable selling? And
you
do the best at selling. Yeah.
So observable behavior was the actual, his ability to influence others to buy his things.
I have a lot of respect for people who are good salesmen.
Yeah. Is that something you want to bring into your way of being and who you?
Yeah, I wish I had that ability. Yeah.
So when redefining yourself, it's so important to, when you find somebody you admire and you say, oh, well, they did this amazing thing, narrow that down to the specific behavior that you see. Yeah. And then you can put that into your own, let's say, development plan, whatever that looks like for you. And say, okay, this is where I am. This is where Sam Zell is. This is what the behavior specifically looks like that I want to mirror. This is where I am right now. And then you can make a pathway to get there. So Sam Zell had a knack for influencing people. And what specifically did that look like? Mm-hmm. And right now, what does it look like for you? Mm-hmm. And then, great pathways.
That's good.
Yeah. Thank you. Ideas for a living. I got a doctorate in this stuff.
I live with
this. Oh my goodness. They do call me the doctor for a reason. So coming up with those tangible behaviors is so important because then you can measure your success. And for me, it's Gal Gadot, but specifically Gal Gadot and Wonder Woman. And the thing that really was powerful for me is the way she held her body and her character. And I didn't like how naive she was in the first movie, but I loved her presence. She had such a strong, confident presence. And so for me, that's something that I really have been trying to instill in my own way of being. Her posture.
Israeli women.
So her posture, her way of being, and how she moved. So just that level of confidence. So it's so we'll talk about how I enacted that sort of behavior in the next episode. Stay tuned. So once you redefine yourself, you have a list of observable behaviors. You have something to measure. Again, because if you want more empathy, what does empathy actually look like? If you want to be a better communicator, what does being a better communicator look like? So defining that, what does your best self look like? And absolutely draw a picture of it to remind you. Draw a picture, write it out, create a little Lego man, something that is something that's going to trigger you to remember as well. So you have that, you have a list as well as you have like an icon.
Is that why you have the Wonder Woman picture everywhere you go?
Pretty much.
Is there something else? Another picture you have?
Yeah, I have She-Hulk everywhere
She-Hulk,
too, for a different reason.
Oh, okay.
A different type of strength. So when you have this, and let's say you're in a moment of an amygdala hijack. So your emotional intelligence is 0. Let's say you get an email that totally sets you off. How are you going to react? So I'm going to glance over because I'm pissed off for whatever reason. I see my Wonder Woman. How is she going to react? As related to how I want to be as a human. And that's going to help me think, take a step back, and reframe. Or if I do something that's really positive, that mirrors my character. It's that positive reinforcement, building those neural pathways. So it's that dopamine rush saying, yes, I did a really good job, and this is reinforcing it. Or no, hold off, this is who I want to be. So it's that trigger. It's a trigger.
Cool.
Yeah. So hopefully that's helpful to you. Yeah. So observable behaviors, have a trigger, write down what those observable behaviors are and what that looks like for you. And then you can build a pathway. Okay, step 2 for our most powerful explosive growth is adapt your mental models. So I'm assuming if you're a geek like us, you've seen The Matrix.
Oh, wait, us?
A nerd like you, or an uber geek like me. How's that? You have seen The Matrix, either the first one or the most recent one. And, all right, you know the character Neo, and Neo is stuck in this virtual universe. We all know this. This virtual universe that he thinks is real. And Morpheus, his mentor, says, all right, I'm going to give you an option. You can take the blue pill, and you can stay here, wake up in your bed, and be very comfortable, and wake up and thinking everything that you believe is exactly true. Or you take the red pill, and I'll show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. And I know I'm not quoting it exactly. It's written here. I just didn't want to read it. So you take the blue pill, and you stay in your own comfort of thinking. Take the red pill, it's going to challenge everything you believe. So I challenge you, of course, to take the red pill, challenge your mental models. We have a set of mental models. These have been developed since childhood. These neural pathways, it's what we believe. It's based on experience and repetition. And I'll give you an example. Did you grow up with a stove that turned red and got hot?
Yes.
Okay, I did too. So hopefully you did as well. So either a gas stove, stovetop, or a coil one.
I touched it.
Me too.
You still touch it.
I still touch it. So our mental model is red stoves get hot, right?
Yeah.
I was at a friend's house, and I don't remember exactly. I'm pretty sure it was Liz. And she's touched the stovetop. And I'm like, you're going to burn yourself, And she looks at me like I'm insane because, right, my mental model is red stoves are hot. And she's like, touch the stove, Cindy. No, I don't wanna. And so she puts her flat hand on it, and I'm blown away because now my mental model is trashed. My best friend is actually a superhero. Process. Oh wait, maybe the stove isn't hot. So yeah, it really challenged my whole way of thinking. And it was a punctuated equilibrium. Typically with mental models,
takes time.
Takes a lot of time, a lot of challenges, and a lot of rethinking it with intention. versus the punctuated equilibrium. But this is just an example to kind of explain what a mental model is. So these are, in case you haven't experienced these stoves, they're actually induction, and they work with an electromagnetic field that heats it up, and it doesn't heat up the kitchen, obviously burn you, so it's pretty cool, I thought. Yeah. All right, so mental models, back to that. Revolutionary standpoint. From an evolutionary standpoint, we developed these neural pathways way back in the day to survive, to adapt and survive. So our nomadic ancestors, anything around us could kill us at any point. So we had to have this set of mental models and be aware of all the things. Because
that's fascinating. We're dealing with baggage from thousands of years.
Oh yeah, our brains have
millions
not
of years.
Our technology has changed. Our brains have not. Fascinating, isn't it? So, like for one thing, like when we look around sideways to sideways and we do it together as a group, that means that we're safe.
What?
Yeah, so when we're looking straight ahead, we're predators, but when we all look side to side, that means like we're okay.
What do you mean we all look side to side?
Like, so if you're in a group of people and you intentionally look side to side, it actually relaxes you as a group because it's saying that there's not a threat response that we have to, it's okay if we look side to side.
Really?
Yeah.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. Like the stuff, the peripheral vision, there's whole studies on peripheral vision.
Huh.
Like that.
So if you're ever in a meeting, just you want to relax people, you just go.
Yeah, that would be weird at all.
That's supposed to be relaxing. Everybody's gonna be like, "What the hell is this problem?"
Yeah. So anyway, we're constantly taking in information from our senses, from our eyes, the way we see things, and the way we touch, and then the way we what we hear, and that directly translates to our mental model, and we process it and say, is this a threat or not? So anything out of the ordinary. So if somebody that you've been dating is like constant, and all of a sudden they're in a bad mood and it's the first time you've seen that, you're going to be like, what's going on? What did I do? And it's probably nothing. But it challenges your mental.
Are you saying that from personal dating experience with me?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Like the first time like that happened, I'm like, oh my God. What
Anyway, go ahead. TMI. Move on.
You asked. So anything that doesn't align with what we know to be true totally like triggers our spidey senses. And so
Spidey senses.
And our brain shifts into protective mode. It's fight or flight, and we have that threat response. And so that's like anything with change. So organizations that come in and say, all right, we're going to have a change, we're immediately threatened. Or so we're going to move, or we're immediately threatened. Anything that changes around us. So I challenge you to take that red pill, and when something triggers your mental model, why? I want you to explore the why. So it could be feedback you receive that you don't agree with. And somebody gives you a comment like, you know, I recommend you change this. Well, you're like, that is so not true. Well, why isn't it true? Because they said it to you. It's true for them. So really lean in and think about it and challenge yourself, challenge your model. Because it's how we have cognitive agility. It's how we retrain our brains and build new neural pathways and new mental models. And it's really how we learn. So it could be, again, an idea or concept that you think is totally wrong or off. That's cool. Why is that? And what is your mental model that's challenging that? Again, just take the red pill. Anything that brings your spidey senses up, just really lean in.
Is it true that our model built by eons of evolution is baked into our amygdala?
Absolutely.
And then I don't know where else in our brains. Maybe that is more malleable software that holds models but can be reprogrammed?
Our entire brain can be reprogrammed.
Even the amygdala?
Yeah. Well, our amygdala is the fight or flight response. But
right, and that's like baked in from way back when, right?
But our prefrontal cortex and our thinking brain, that's where we really hold our mental models. So our amygdala is the hormonal reaction where it's like, I'm going to kill you or I am going to calm down. Our prefrontal cortex is where we like do our thinking. And so that's where our mental models are housed. And we have neuroplasticity where new neural pathways are built every day if we try something new. Yeah. But here's a cool exercise that I really thought was neat. Cross your arms. Okay? That feels natural, right? Mm-hmm. Now uncross them. Cross them the other way. Right? Undo it and do it again. The opposite way. How's it feel?
Natural.
Now do it the wrong way.
I don't even know if that's right. But yeah.
How's that feel?
Yeah, it's just over that way, right? Wait. It feels weird.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's building new neural pathway right there.
Yeah.
And the more that you do it, the more that neural pathway gets groove and groove and groove. Eventually that becomes normal.
Yeah.
So that's just right there, building new neural pathway. Changing your mental model. Yay.
Yeah. That's what I love about human brain is that you can reprogram yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It just takes time and patience, repetition and dedication.
Yeah,
intention. Yeah.
Yep.
You have to really be intentional. So I can be like Algado and have great posture and confidence. And you can absolutely be like...
change.
You can change. And you can be like Sam Zell and have rock solid sales experience.
Man,
or sales.
I love that. That's so hopeful.
Yeah. Neuroplasticity.
Yeah, it puts a biological context into, rebuilding it, reinventing yourself. Mm-hmm. Love that.
Yeah.
Very good.
Now the coolest part is, now that you have like your observable behaviors and you know how to change your mental models, you have to prepare your brain for learning. This is my favorite part. All right, so do you know the best way to prepare your brain for learning?
Sleep.
Naps! Yes!
That was good.
So a tired brain won't learn. Tired brain immediately puts you in fight or flight. So if you get a shitty night's sleep and you go into work, you are in fight or flight all day. You are in survival mode, whether or not you realize it. So it's really good before any type of learning to make sure that you're well rested. So if you're not well rested, take a nap. And the best part that I want to build into my learning programs is they found, after lots of extensive neuroscience research, that 20 minutes of napping after a learning event, you actually have better retention of content.
Wait, say that again?
If you take a 20-minute nap after something learning, after a learning event.
After learning.
Yep. You have better retention of what you learned. So if I could build nap time into my learning programs, man, I would be... So I thought that was pretty fascinating. Yeah. I haven't explored it yet just because, but I definitely want to.
Yeah. That's tough. 20 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Waking up after 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah. All right. The next part about preparing your brain for learning is it's all making sure your brain is decluttered. And getting into nature can 10x that. Getting into nature can declutter your brain to the maximum. So I'm going to talk about my own research a little bit and how...
Oh, here we go. This is her dissertation.
So he heard about my dissertation for 8 years, so you can probably say this instead of me. All right. So as I mentioned earlier, we take in information through our senses, all through our senses, through how we hear, what we smell. Like smell triggers all kinds of memory. So if you think about what your grandmother's house smelled like, or you smell it. For me, it's date nut cookies, and it immediately triggers my grandmother. For some people, it may be apple pie. For some people, it may be Lysol. You never know what smell triggers, what memories. So we take in information through our senses, through what we hear, through what we touch, through what we see. And again, we align it to our mental models. When in my research, I found that people that went into extreme nature for at least 60 days, and this is people who rode oceans, who hiked the Appalachian and Pacific Crest Trails, who climbed up the 7 summits, it's like so mountain climbers, like all these amazing people who were in nature without technology, without other people, or maybe like 1 or 2 people, but not this massive society, without buildings, literally extreme nature. So what these folks did, all of them, at different points in their journey, their senses opened up. And what they described that as is the colors were so much brighter. I heard sounds I never heard before. The space opened up around me. Even if they were in a forest, they felt just very like they had space. Time slowed down. And that was pretty fascinating. So time slowed down and they were able to like just be. They heard more, felt more, sound more. And so their senses are all opened up, they're taking in all this information, and then they are done with their journey, they come back into society. And so the first time I was in Vegas, I'm like, holy crap, there's lights, there's noise, there's dings everywhere, there's people, oh my God. And I live in a city. So these folks had that same experience on steroids. Even in the small towns, there was lights and noise all the time. The sound of engines, the sound of humming. You think about it, even your own house. The refrigerator hums all the time. It just does. And there's people all around you and cars and you turn on, it's just too much, totally overwhelming. They didn't know what to do, so they had to shut down their senses. So some of them would go into like a room by themselves without anything in it and just decompress. Others who'd been through this a couple times had the cognitive agility to be able to talk themselves down. So you had to shut down your senses in society. So extrapolating this into how we live in regular society as humans who haven't been in nature for 60 days, we are not using our full sensory capacity, which means we are not fully prepared for learning. And so my advice to you is to get out into learning, or get out into nature. Get out into nature as much as you can. Put down the technology, go for a walk somewhere where there are minimal people and minimal tech. Go to the park, just sit and think and be, and look around you. There's an exercise that we do just looking around, looking at a tree and really defining the tree and just letting your mind declutter, because you're going to be more prepared for learning.
Yeah, just sitting and thinking.
Yeah.
I don't do that anymore. Like, I'm always Googling or searching for something online. You know? I'm not just in my own head anymore. Not like when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I think it's a waste, yeah.
So how can you build it back in?
Oh, I like what you said. I don't know how to get outside and just think.
Yeah. But something to think about, how you can do that.
Yeah.
So that's all I have. The 3, again, principles in a nutshell are redefining yourself, adapt your mental models, and prepare for learning.
Love it. It's very good, I think. It's very very inspiring, especially the first 2, because it gives me hope that, I mean, there is a biological, scientific possibility of how punctuated equilibrium changed to something better. So
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. I love that.
Yay.
All right, this is episode 44. We're wrapping it up. I also wanted to let you know that you can find us on the web at dream10x.com. You can even tack on a www ahead of that, www.dream10x.com. You can also find our podcast on Apple iTunes and Android and even Alexa. And you can find our videos on YouTube, Dream10x. Just look for Dream10x on YouTube. And finally, if you want to shoot us an email, it's dream10x@nautilustracker.com.
Cheers.